Try that again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am the ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie, and this is the community live stream episode 4, April 30th. It's the end of April 2019. Made it through another month. How about that? It is now only a few short days until knowledge, but we'll get into that in just a moment. This is the show that gives you, ServiceNow administrators and developers, not only the knowledge of the answers on the ServiceNow community, but the insight, the journey of discovery, the process of learning that goes on, the reverse engineering that happens to get to those answers. I give you what goes on inside my head when somebody throws one of these questions out, and I go, hey, let's go figure that out. Whether it's documentation, obscure knowledge, or just tearing into an instance and exploring. That's what I want you to learn out of this. Not just, hey, here's a way to write a script. It's how did we get to that thought process? Why did we use A versus B? That's what this show is all about, and I hope you find it valuable. If you like it or find something valuable in the next hour, or even mildly entertaining, click the like button on the video below, or if you find this in the community, click the helpful link. That tells other people that there is some information in there. When I get done with the video, when I get done with these posts, I link it all back to the community, so you've got this circular reference. You can go from YouTube to the community, community to YouTube. It's all taken care of, and it's curated, of course, by a ServiceNow app. So I don't spend a lot of time on post-production. Good morning, Carolyn Ramsport. Good to see you today. If you're watching this live on YouTube, let me get out of the way so we can get the YouTube URL over there. Get that over there and subscribe to that link if you would. You'll get actually turn on notifications, and you will get a notification. Should we check? Should we check? It's always a gamble whether this happens or not. Oh, looks like we have the YouTube link and Twitch or notification and Twitch notification happening. Good morning, Steve. We've got our regulars on board today. So subscribe, get the notifications, watch it on YouTube. If something crazy happens like last Friday on YouTube, you can always go to Twitch and watch it there as a backup plan. The URL for Twitch is, of course, twitch.tv/NowCommunity. Use that as a backup. If there is something wrong, please let me know. If you just send me an email or a DM on whatever your favorite messenger is, LinkedIn is always available, and I will get that rectified as soon as possible, because I not only stream this, but I do have a local recording as a backup plan. Years of podcasting experience have always taught me have a backup in case something goes sideways. So that is the plan. Let's continue on. If you are doing more than saying good morning in the YouTube stream or you know what? I got a window to close here on Twitch. An ad just popped up and I have no visibility. There we are. Okay. If you've got more than that, then please head over to the community. If you've got a question, did I hit the right key? I hit the right key. I'm just not looking at the right screen. Go over to the ServiceNow community. That's the big screen behind me. You can ask your questions, and subject matter experts, hundreds, thousands of them, will jump in and contribute their input to make that an experience. To get your answers for you as quickly as possible. If you see me skipping over some of the questions, it's not because I don't like you. It's because that's not my area of expertise. And while I will explore and even subscribe to a few interesting articles, I don't know everything. I can't answer everything, so I won't be digging into everything. Sometimes it happens, though. I just get very, very curious. Let's continue on. That is the community, community.servicenow.com. I encourage you to join. We also have the developer. I think we're on developer. Yes. Developer.servicenow.com is over where you will find free personal developer instance, meetups, APIs, learning plans, all that good information to make you a more productive ServiceNow developer. You can see that scrolling behind my head. Good morning, Carol R. Carol R has joined us. A number of people watching this morning, getting very excited about knowledge. I think it's going to set in tomorrow. Don't know if I'm going to have a show tomorrow. I have to get my wife to the airport. She's got a 6 a.m. flight, which is usually when I do this, and don't know if I'll be back in time. And then later that day, Craig Stepp arrives here. So I don't know. This may be my last episode before knowledge. If I can sneak one in Thursday or Friday, I'll see about that. because I still have a lot of things to tie up, secure, batten down the hatches before we leave for Vegas on Saturday. So anyway, back to developer.servicenow.com. That's where you'll find all that. We also have meetups. If you go to the events, you can find the upcoming ones there. Dusseldorf. Hey, look, we got new logo. It doesn't have ServiceNow on it. Oh, teeny tiny little ServiceNow developers. Meetup. That's good. New graphics. Looks like we've been investing a little more time on the site, on the styling CSS on the site. And if you want to know more, you can go over to meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow Dev program, where almost 16,000 people are part of this community. And you can find one of the 50 chapters around the world to go and talk with other developers, like-minded people about ServiceNow, get into what their latest projects are, what challenges they've had, what they've learned. I'm stockpiling right now. So when Phoenix gets back in gear, or I get to travel to other chapters, I'll have a library of content and a lot of fun. Yes, we will more than likely play Jeopardy when we get to your location, and I'm sure it will be a lot of fun. I just need to figure out how I'm going to do the buzzer thing, because we're borrowing something from Stacy Bailey. Might have to make her a cash offer on that device, or build my own. That thought had crossed my mind. Right now I don't have time to build anything new. It was a struggle just to get my garage door opener project in. Not opener, it's a garage door closer. I don't know if I told you guys about that. Maybe we'll get into that in a little bit. It was a very, very simple Arduino-based project. And it involves ServiceNow, because just about everything I do now, I find some way to hook that in. All right, meetups over at meetup.com. The big one, of course, I think we move on to knowledge. Let's go to, there's the knowledge screen. Knowledge is coming up, of course, May 5th through 9th. And if we check the good old, probably not going to see it here. No, I'm not going to see it. Oh, I got to get on the phone to tell me that there are 4 days and 17 hours until Sunday arrives. Not long. That doesn't leave a whole lot of time. I need to get slides for my Hack Zone exhibit to Jason McKee today. That's how it's going. May 5th through 9th, if you're not aware, this is our annual conference every year, user conference for you to come and learn about ServiceNow. You will be drinking from the fire hose. Keynotes and customer-led sessions and hands-on workshops and networking opportunities. There's so much to do. Pre-conference training Sunday and Monday. Monday night the conference starts, but oddly enough, the welcome party, the reception party, is Tuesday night, which is why I'm really looking forward to playing Jeopardy with that crowd around. Could be challenging, could be fun. Meet me in the developer theater. I'll give you the particulars about when and where you can find me at Knowledge in just a moment. But I highly encourage you. I know it's kind of late and you're going to have a tough time finding a flight and a reception because it is April 30th and it starts in just a few days. But if you could not make it this year, find somebody who did, possibly in your organization, possibly from another organization, and use that as justification to start budgeting for next year. It's not too early to start planning for Knowledge 20. So looking forward to that. This will be my 10th. Yeah, this will be my 10th Knowledge. Boy, how things have changed dramatically in the last few years. Let's get back to our GitHub screen. So any code posted today will be available on GitHub at the URL that you see there. You can also find that in the description of this YouTube video and on the community post as well. So if there is code written, it will be in a folder in that link. You'll see it dated 2019-0430. I like to share the script so that you can take it, break it, make it your own, and go nuts. Learn something, tweak it, find out how it works, find out how you can apply it to your environment. Go, that's really handy. It's sort of my own private Stack Overflow, if you will. But of course, they're also posted back to the community, and I have links to all the articles in the show notes that are available on the community. See how that works? Community links to the community and links to the code that made the community. You get it. I'm here to help. let's get started. Let's go like that. Put the titles away, put everything else away, and get started with the community. Good morning, LePage. Good morning, Sarab. Good to see you this morning. Let's dig in, do a quick screen refresh, and get the unreplied questions. Oh, I did have the countdown going on. Just a few days. I want to get some more pictures so that I can have some new backdrops to look at on that image next year. Let's look at the unreplied stuff. How can I set widgets from a second container in between the top and bottom containers in Service Portal? How can I set widgets from a second container in between? Boy, this might be a good one where pictures are available. It sounds like we just need another container, but I could be oversimplifying this. Let's see what the challenge is. CSS. What a great way to do this. So we're using divs for panels. My instinct would be don't do this in one page. Do it as separate widgets, but that's getting a little involved. I want to try and make this as educational and entertaining as possible, and digging into hundreds of lines of code probably isn't going to do it. LePage says, I won't be there this year, but last year, my first knowledge was great. Good. Should be easier to justify a new one. Registration code mandatory on customer service management portal. How to pull asset warranty expiration. Let's take a look at that one. That sounds like a report or something. The script below should be pulling in warranty expiration and comparing it to the current date, but I continue to get undefined for the warranty expiration date. Okay. We're doing this all client-side. Why? Because you want an alert on the screen. So we're getting the display value comparing today to warranty. Warranty is warranty date serial. The warranty date of the serial number passes in. Serial is whatever the date value is that they entered into this field. And they're going to check the serial number. And return that as, okay, so you're comparing a display value. These are two strings. Could be interesting. I would prefer to compare numeric values when doing date comparisons. So they're doing all this with display values. And while that's not a bad thing, so nobody's replied to this yet. I don't have asset management set up. This item may be under warranty. Please contact company at contact. Clear value serial number. Okay, so the point of this script is they're going to get a serial number from a form, go and get the warranty date of that as a display value. Today, that might be the issue. Today, JavaScript's date, what format does it return that in? Let's check real quick. On client side, it may be different. In fact, let's do JavaScript date. I think W3 Schools has a real good explanation of the date because they do everything client side anyway. If you just do, date creates a new date object, and if you just print it, new date creates a new date object, document enter HTML is D. Yeah, it's going to give you this format. So is there a client-side version of glide date time? That's the question. Let's go to the developer portal and look for, I'm probably going to be better off doing this as a date. Glide Ajax, glide flow, glide form, glide list, glide menu, glide modal navigation, glide record, glide user. So you would have to get the date in the format of, can you output the format? Get date. Get date will give you what? Get date. That's just giving you the date, the 30th. Okay, that's not it yet. Where is get full year, get display, get UTC date, get UTC time zone offset, get time, get seconds, get milliseconds. You're gonna have to assemble it yourself. Looks like it. Now? What's date.now tell you? Same format probably. Oh, hey, a numeric value. That's handy. I don't mess around with date too often, so we are poking and prodding here. Could you do a toString on that? This is often how it goes, kids. It's not terribly exciting. Let's go back to the original one and do a new date. That's going to be an object. But if we do toString in there and run, yeah, it still gives you this, I forget what the format is called. There's a specific name for that. It's like an ISO or an ANSI or IEEE format to that date, and it's very common. You see it a lot in mail headers. We want something that's compatible or comparable with the glide date time format of year dash month dash day, hours, minutes, seconds. And that is not it. We want to locale time string, maybe? Let's try that one. What does it give you? Technical details. Let's find out. Let's go back to our try it, not that try it. The other one. Oh, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. That's not exactly the format. To date string. What is that? SO string? I've never played with some of these. It's how we learn. Play around with them. Let's try date string with a capital D. I'll make that a little bigger for you so you can see it. To date string does what? Nope. What is SO? Apparently nothing. Is that even a thing? Did I read it right? 2LSO. There's an L in there? What's it do? Oh, ISO string. Terrible fonts. I hate it when that happens. Okay, ISO string is going to give you this format with the Z at the end. That's not exactly what we want either. Don't want an ISO string. We don't want a locale string. UTC string will give us an example. Come on. UTC string. Anybody remember their basic JavaScript well enough to do this? No, that's not getting it close. That just takes the time zone off. Since client side will always operate in user format, it can be different from the system format, and you end up splitting the date. Yeah, and they're always doing the, this is all on the client side for this post. So it's dates and times are one of the things that drive me the craziest because they are different on client and server side. And you've got a certain set of methods on the server side, a certain set of methods on the client side. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. But it's also one of the more challenging things. The short answer is, and I'm looking, okay, short answer is that date on the client side, make that a little bigger, is going to return a date in the format of, we'll put that down here, get it back to where we had it. That's actually a horrible format. Why they even throw the time zone in there, I don't know. Well, your date time field from the database is in year, month. I don't remember if it's month, day, hour, minute, something like that. I forgot where the capitals go, to be honest. It might be like this. minute, seconds, your comparison is off. I'm looking to see if there is a client-side script that will offer the date method output in a form we can do an equal comparison. That's going to be interesting. Now, if they are doing get display value, the time zone will be applied. So if we can find something that gives that, I don't know what the answer is going to be yet. So in the interest of time, let's move on, see if anybody in the chat comes up with something or if that conversation takes on a life of its own. Somebody out there somewhere knows more about JavaScript date formats than me. I believe that 100%. Let's do a quick screen refresh and get a unreplied registration code, how to get a list of hardware where particular XYZ software is not installed. Oh, the old absent data thing. That one, probably gonna have to write a report, a query, a list of hardware where particular software is not installed. That's going to be a challenge. Did they give us a... I have checked on software installed, SAM SW install table, and the CMDB hardware table. Software install table will hold install software list and hardware list. Is there a way to get a list of hardware where particular software is not installed? I thought Ben Sweetser had a way to report on things that weren't there. I don't remember. It would have to be a script. I don't know of a way, come on fingers, to report on something that is not there. You may have to resort to script. It's a bit like saying, who didn't get paid this week? Well, certainly they're going to come up and find you. You can query against the... You're still going to have to go through all the hardware. You'd have to go through all of the hardware and look for any related records. You're going to have to query against each record. I don't know software asset management database that well, so this isn't purely the fact that it's CMDB SAM software installed and not just CMDB CI software makes me a little leery. So software asset management, does that tie into the CMDB? Wish I knew more about SAM. Query against each hardware record and then check the software table to see if that specific software exists. If not, make a note of it and report that back. I'd probably do that in a script include and then call that from a mail script, and that way you can mail a report to somebody. That's what I would do. Okay, let's do another one. I forgot to do this. Out of practice. My developer instance got retired without informing me. I question the validity of that. Check your spam folder, because I have gotten notifications all the time. 17650, which I was using until Friday, got retired without informing me. I have many important work saved on that instance, and I'm using that instance very long. Kindly give me my instance back as soon as possible. If it was in fact retired, let's find out. Can we get there? Or is it still alive? It's alive. Can we hop on it? Pardon me, I'll bring up my two-factor codes. Let's see if we can get to this. I want to see if who posted that. It was a person named Devadrita Ghosh. Do we have any evidence that this person has been there? Log in. If it's alive, I can get in. I want to see if you just log in as admin, I can't tell if it's really you. But if you create yourself an account, then we can find out who's home. Are there any logged in users right now? Logged in, it's awake, so logged in users. Let's take a look. Me, that's nice. Let's go to user administration, find out if any records have been updated recently. Don't see anything that looks particularly interesting. These are all created for 27, which is, I said this was retired Friday? Friday was not the 29th. Monday was the 29th. So this was rebooted or initialized on Saturday, according to these records, when the demo data was loaded. And, sorry, that's kind of small. I can't tell exactly when it was ZBooted, but let's go to the system logs and see if system logs all 18,000 records is not a whole lot. Let's sort those A to Z. Those start on Saturday. Okay. Are there any applications here? Has anybody been building anything? Let's go to sysapp.list. Nothing. This is a brand new instance. They are not restored. Sorry. Okay. Sorry to hear about your instance. I just checked it and it looks like it was reset and wiped. Reset/wiped on Saturday. Did I spell that right? It looks funny. There are no applications or update sets available, and restoring a personal developer instance is not possible at this time. Were you using source control? I always do. Do you have any backup update sets for your work? Try to give a guiding hand. Okay, that's a topic for another discussion. The trend dashboard example, performance analytics and reporting, approval on special handling notes. Ouch, that's why I like to export my update sets now and then. It takes, yes, James, you are correct. And I use source control extensively on my applications. Even on the instances that I provision that are not personal developer instances, I still have loads and loads of backup data. I not only export the application, but I export the data from time to time as well. Okay, anyone have dared to take a chance on in 1 month? I'm looking at an answer. Create under widget, have the record producer form. I can't even read that. Outbound attachment using REST API. I was just looking at something like this, and Josh Narius gave me an answer, so I want to take a look and see if this helps. Facing an issue with trying to use set request body from attachment and script include. I'm using this along with the mid server. The response received is post request body is missing content. Through the mid server. Interesting. Does it work if you are going to an endpoint without using a mid server? Let's reduce the variables. Is it the mid server or is it the content? Determine if it is the script or the mid server that is causing the issue. Okay, ding. Not exactly where I thought I'd go, but let's find out. Do another one, refresh. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. We've got a message in the inbox. Let's go see what someone has to say. More than likely a response. How to pull the asset warranty. Wow, that was a quick response. Someone wrote a script, an unchanged client script to help with this. And what did they do? They still have a new date. Change the highlighted line and check it. Let's go to that content. I can't read it in the inbox because the font is too large. What did they highlight? Serial equals new value plus nothing. So they think they're having a problem getting the serial number. I don't think that's the source of the problem. I think it's a date format thing. But I'm curious to see how that discussion progresses. Okay, unreplied. Unreplied. There we are. We'll do a couple more of these, then I'm going to go into a deep dive topic. Trend dashboard, virtual agent order on item topic enhancement. I haven't looked at a virtual agent question yet. I think this is the first one since it's come out. We have a requirement to enhance the virtual agent topic, order an item in such a way that when chat displays the catalog item and if user submits the order. Currently out of box, chatbot don't have a functionality to display a content form in the bot. It only gives a link for a catalog item. We're fine with it. But is there a way that when one user submits a catalog item, chatbot should display the acknowledge message that requested item has been created to the end user? You would have to do the catalog item through the chatbot. How would we do that? Because you're just redirecting them to another link and the two are not communicating. That's an interesting topic. I would like to hear that. It sounds like a good feature for enhancement request. Well, I don't have an answer for you how to communicate back to VA that the catalog item has been created. I have a macro. I should check, make sure that link still works. Oh, my brain just ran down about 3 different paths. User criteria, add, remove users. User criteria. There is a user field in user criteria. Yes, the requirement is to add the user mentioned as owner in any of the KB articles which belongs to a particular knowledge base. Say, for example, ABC. So they execute this. Society of ABC knowledge base. I have a hard time believing that's the best possible answer, but okay. Glide record user criteria, add query, sysid for something. Again, sysids, I have no idea what that is. User does not contain current owner, I was able to add the users to the list. Now, other parts of the requirement is to remove the user if he's not part of knowledge base ABC at all, meaning not an owner. Boy, this seems like there's an easier way to do it. Again, the inline script thing would help greatly on this. That is very hard to read. If an article is retired in the ABC knowledge base, the owner of that article is removed from XY knowledge contributors unless the owner of the other articles. Seems like you could do this through Flow Designer on this part to remove the user if they're not part, meaning not the owner of even one knowledge base article from the same knowledge base. This doesn't seem like the most effective way to do it. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make a user criteria per knowledge base, if I understand this right, and then apply that to the knowledge base, and then maintain these as people publish or... I would take a look at doing this through Flow Designer. This sounds like a good use case for Flow Designer rather than a script. You can do the lookups easier and trigger them as needed. Much like business rules, but easier to maintain. Easier to maintain. There we go. Probably not the answer they wanted, but I have to keep reminding myself about Flow Designer as well. Okay, let me go over to my ideas list. And there was something that I came up with last weekend, a few days ago. I'm just going to go with that, on how to count unique references. I was really, really hoping that we had a glide record method, and I thought I saw one at one point for unique records, and I did not see it. There's enforce unique numbering. There's enforcing unique fields on records, but I did not see a way to, and I looked on the developer portal as well. There's nothing in glide record about querying for unique records. There is a SQL way to say, get me all the unique values out of this. So if you have a list of records and there happens to be 5 records with the same name, you can get just the uniqueness out of that and it'll report it once. I was hoping that would be carried over to a glide record method. And maybe it is and it's not documented, but I did not see it. So I was forced to come up with a scripted way to do this. And maybe, you know what, I didn't check, but array utils may have it now that I think about it. Let's go to my personal developer instance, which is now way over here on tab 4. And script include. It may just work on a linear array though. I was hoping to get it based off of keys. System definition, script includes array util. There it is. I don't know if that's big enough or not. We'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this. So contains index of ensure array, diff, intersect, union, unique. Removes duplicate items from an array. Now these are arrays. I was looking for a hash array. However, could be possible to use that as well. What I came up with, let me show you what I came up with. I'm going to put this into VS Code so it's easy to read. New paste. Okay. Collapse that. No. Collapse that. There we are. So the use case is I have, give that a tab. I have on the Hack Zone Health Club fitness centers, 4 stations around the floor. And I want to automatically level you up. If you start out with, say, light stretching, and you finished all 4, then let's upgrade you to moderate stretching. And if you finish all 4 on moderate, let's upgrade you to intense stretching. Same kind of thing with cardio and strength. So you go around to these stations, but if you badge into station number 1 4 times, I don't want to count that as, hey, you've done all 4, you get upgraded. You have to visit all 4 stations. If you've got a favorite and you want to keep standing there and do light stretching all afternoon, that's great. So I said, first of all, let's get the number of stations from a property and get that as an actual decimal because I don't trust properties. I think they always come out as strings. So I'm going to use parse int to parse that into the number of stations. I now know I have 4 stations. That makes it easy for me to set up a 5th or take one offline and say 3, and this functionality still works. Think about properties when you're doing your applications instead of putting hard-coded numbers in there and say, I've got 4 stations, because tomorrow you might not have 4 stations, you might have 10. Whether that is servers or whether that is employees that need to check something, parameterize it. Then I say, let's go find out and get the number of stations they've finished, which is a query right here. The underscore, don't freak out about that. It's a simple notation to say this function is only going to be used here. JavaScript does not have the notion of private and public functions. So this is a way to denote this is a private function. It doesn't enforce anything. I could still call this from a server-side script completely outside of this, and it would still work. I instantiate this object and call it, but this tells me, the developer, that it's a private function. It's just something I picked up a long time ago, and I use it not as much as I should. How's that for a lame excuse? All right, now I need to find all the workout records in this many-to-many, because when you go badge in at a station, it says, Chuck is at station 1. It creates a record for that. When did I start? When did I end? Did I complete? Did I abort? All that information is in this M2M record. And I go and get those, but I need to know which types so that I can say, if Chuck is doing light stretching, go find the records for Chuck doing light stretching. So there's 3 criteria. Here is the Chuck part, here is the stretching part, and here is the light part. And find all the records that he finished. I don't care if you walked up, badged in, and left. That doesn't count. You don't get anything for that. So that's what I'm looking for. And then I make a hash array. So this is a list of objects. Now, if I had a query to do uniqueness, I would have put it in here, right up here where I'm looking for these records to say, go get me all the ones that are unique by sysid, for example, by station ID, by name, by something that says Chuck went to this station. He did it 4 times, but I'm only counting it once. That's what I would really like. But since I don't have that, I'm going to build my own. And I use the name of the station. So it's a station 1, excuse me. What did I do? I used the sysid. That's what it was. I used the sysid of the station and the name of the display value of the station as my hash. And that comes out in the log as just sysids. So I wanted to count something unique. Sysid seemed like a good thing to count. But that just builds it up. If I'd been to the same station 10 times, there would be 10 records in here. What I really need to do is, this takes care of any deduplication automatically. Because if there's already a key by that sysid and I've been to the same station 4 times, it's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's the same object. I'm just going to keep doing it. It doesn't create a new object. This is my deduplication. Kind of a cheap way. But it's not scalable because if I had 10,000 records, for example, this would start to slow down. By putting it on the database and doing a unique, if I could, that would have eliminated this problem. Then I needed to find out how many of these unique records do I have? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? And that's where I went to Stack Overflow and got a little thing that counts the size of a hash. If you've got a regular array, and I probably could have done this with an array, but I don't know how I would have, that would have built a larger and larger array over time. Mine does not. Mine stops at a maximum of 4 because there are only 4 stations. There are only 4 sysids that are going to end up in here. So I guess in a way mine is a little more scalable, although it's still querying all the records. It doesn't use up as much memory. We'll go with that. It's more memory efficient. Otherwise, I could have built a standard array where array sub 0 is, I don't know, sysid. Array sub 2 is sysid. Array sub 3 is sysid number 2. And then it deduplicates those and comes up with a much smaller array. That's what arrayutil would have done if I'd called unique. But I would have had a much larger array and compressed it down into a much smaller array. Mine starts with a smaller array. So I'm going with mine, although it wasn't as much fun as writing this little thing. So that's what I did for counting unique values. And then it comes back, and if I have 4, that's where we get that, says, give me an array of all the finished stations. And that will be that object of objects, really. And if the size of that object is the same as the number of stations, if 4 is 4, then hooray, you finished all the stations. Where do I use that? In the condition of a business rule to say, if you finished all the stations, you're participating with gamification. And what was the other one? There's a third condition in there. I forgot what it was. Oh, the state of this record changes to finished, because I really don't care if you didn't finish. I'm not going to run any of this script if you didn't. Then it will run all of this stuff and say, is it time to level up or not? And then it'll do that. Level up code is somewhere else. So that is an interesting way. Again, I will share this with you if you ever wanted to get a series of records and find out a uniqueness based on something. If If you wanted to do uniqueness based on name, you would simply take, instead of station ID as your key, put something else in here. Work out get display value, or station display value, or person display value. How many unique people have been to this station? You could do something like that equally as well, and then just count the object size and go, 5 unique people. Although that one guy, he was here 25 times, there were only 5 unique people. So uniqueness is something that I tend to get to once in a while. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one. I will put that in the GitHub repo today, and I will mark that as no longer active. Other ideas that I came up with while writing other stuff. Cascade Delete. I think I talked about Cascade Delete before. It is an interesting topic that has saved me a lot of time, particularly in development. Let me get back to my personal developer instance and go to my CLS app. Let's go to Studio. I have an app I use specifically for beating up on this stuff that I don't want to abuse any other application. Switch to CLS. Now it's time to ZBoot this thing. Reset and reload. That's where the name ZBoot comes from. The reason it's called ZBoot, for trivia buffs, is because under scripts background, if you log in with maint mode, I'll do that for you real quick. So dev 20465, I think is the number. If I log into this instance as a maint is the ServiceNow maintenance account. It's above administrator, gives you some extra powers. And you go into scripts background. Normally, if you go into script background, you don't see this. You get just the text box and a couple of pull downs at the bottom. Don't ask me that again. Scripts background. Underneath system definition, scripts background. This is what you would normally see. But as maint, there are a number of scripts in here. And once upon a time, there was only one. And to reset and wipe an instance is a dangerous thing, I'm sure you'll admit. So they put it at the bottom of the list. Instead of calling it boot or reboot or reset, it's called ZBoot so that it shows up at the bottom of the list. Now, obviously, over time, we've added more and more scripts and categorized them. But that was the original thought, was let's put it at the bottom so nobody accidentally hits it. So that is how we get the name ZBoot. It's also the name of the internal ServiceNow band, which we'll be playing at CreatorCon. Check them out. A number of good friends and coworkers happen to play in ZBoot. So I don't know if logging into that has reset my credentials. Yes, let me do that. I'm going to log out, log back in. I don't need to be roaming around my developer instance with maint mode. And get back in there, because I want to talk about Cascade Delete. Let's go to the doc site first. Good place to start whenever you're looking this stuff up. Cascade Delete. If you haven't used this before, I encourage you to take a look. Come on. Maybe it's just Cascade. Configuring Cascade Delete rules. Here we go. It's part of the dictionary entry, and you have to go to an advanced view to do this. It has to do with reference fields. So when I have table A and I have table B, and table B has a reference field to table A records. So table A is the parent, table B is the child. I've got a reference field that links them together. And I delete a record on table A. I want to make sure that I don't leave table B with a bunch of hanging records. So let's take a look at the use case where I do not have anything there. I don't even know what what app I'm in. I didn't log out of that. I logged in here. Let's start this over. I got confused to where I was. So I'm in my community live stream. My data model has an item table. And the item, if I remember right, had a reference to Chuck, and the item task table had a reference to item. Yes? No, it doesn't. As a reference to user, probably don't want that. And a few other things. So item points to Chuck. Does Chuck point to anything else? We can get rid of item task. I just want to get my data model straight in my head before I do this. Let's find any reference field assigned to show matching on reference. What reference field? This looks like it's extended from task, so it's going to have a lot of stuff. Oh, Chuck has a reference to item, and item has a reference to Chuck. This could be interesting. Let's keep it simple. Let's get rid of the reference to item. I think I was playing around with something else before. Oop, don't delete, don't delete, don't delete, update. Good thing there's a warning. Save me from deleting the table. That would have been a long exercise. So now I have, okay, Chuck is the parent, item is the child. And if we look at it here, we have a series of Chuck records, and we'll take 22,490, look, and we should have a related list. I don't want it as an embedded list. Let's fix that. Configure form layout. Take that out. Put it back as a related list. Didn't need to see it that way. There's my items. Let's add some items in there. Oh, it's a many to many. Dang it, now I have a many to many record in there. I just want the related list. Fix that. Let's get rid of the many to many and put in a straight related list. I can tell it's a many to many because it's got the edit button here. And if you go to related lists, there's going to be items here without an error, and there will be, there's Chuck to parent. It's going to say item to Chuck. Item to Chuck. That's the one I want. You can tell a one-way reference versus a many-to-many table that way. That was a quick tip on a Tech Now episode a while ago. So now I have very simple data model. Here are some item records, and I can create a new item. We'll put something in here very unsophisticated like this item. This is an item. Just making some demo data. And I get an empty name, so we'll put in item 1. Now, what I want is if I delete 22490, item 1 goes away. Maybe you do want this, maybe you don't. This is how you decide. Okay, I'm showing you the feature. You determine when is the proper use case. If I were to just go delete, it's going to say, do you want to delete this record? Hopefully I did not configure Cascade Delete before. That goes away, but if I look in the items, I still have item 1 hanging out there, referencing nothing. Okay, it doesn't have, it's not even on the form. Oh, it doesn't have anything in the Chuck record. It would have said, actually it does have a sysid in there, but it can't display it, so it doesn't display it. There is a value in there, but the system is smart enough to go, no. So let's take another Chuck record and save that. This is going to be 24,152. We will hook up our item 1 to that. Whatever I just said. 22,152. Sounds good. And now I want to configure that item record to automatically delete if Chuck, the parent record, goes away. So here's where you go to the docs. Here's, somewhere in here is the docs. It says, when a record is deleted, there are different options of how the deletion will affect records that reference the deleted record. You can configure what happens to records, and the options are clear or none. Deleting a record clears the references. So I said when you deleted the parent record, the child record still had something in it. If it's set to clear or none, then it will clear out that value so that you don't have this invalid reference. Could come to burn you when you're scripting and you say, hey, there's a sysid here, let's go trace it. and find out what that record is, and then you get an error because you couldn't retrieve the record, or you do a get ref record method and it bombs out. If you clear this value, you eliminate those problems. Delete or cascade. I don't know why we have two versions of this. Someone can probably tell me somewhere, but it looks like they do the same thing. Deleting a record also deletes all referencing records. For example, when a user record is deleted, it includes any incidents assigned to that user are also deleted. Use this method with caution. And then restrict. Deleting a record is restricted unless there are no references to the record. That could also be handy. If you have a parent and you have a whole bunch of children records and you say, no, the reference field on these child records deny you from deleting that record. If you have it as restricted, it says, hey, there's children here. to quote somebody on The Simpsons, somebody think of the children. They're thinking of the children, and you can't delete the parent record if there are children available. That might be handy if, in fact, you were, say, I don't know, you'd have to delete those tasks somehow. Part of a process, part of a cleanup script, I don't know. But to make sure that there's nothing funny hanging around. Why you would want to do this manually, that may be a compliance thing. Do not delete this unless there are no dependencies on it. And then none, deleting a record does not change records. Well, we had a -- none here and we had a none here. Be careful how you choose that. Because when we look at the dictionary entry, let's go to this configure dictionary on this reference field. And you go, okay, here's the reference specification. Where is it? You have to go to advanced view down here. I still haven't turned on my little glowy button thing. But advanced view is on the bottom. Now you get a whole bunch of extra fields. One of them is reference cascade rule. Notice there is a none and a -- none. And according to the docs, this clears the value. This does nothing. These are labeled poorly, in my opinion, and we still have, now we have a delete no workflow that's not documented. Don't know where that came from. I'm going to set it to Cascade. I think that's the most easy to understand and commonly used, especially when I come up with demo data that generates other records and then in your dev instance, and you say, well, I just want to delete the parent record. This will do multi-layers. So if I had a 3-tiered structure, table A, table B, table C, and I put a cascade rule on B, but I did not put one on C, I'm still going to have all my C records. If I put a cascade delete rule on C, B, and C, deleting records on A will clean up those other ones further down below. So keep that in mind too. However, here's the sticky point that I'm going to save for you. It is now configured that if I delete this task, 152, or any task, let's go back to the Chuck record, open that up, and say delete. It's going to say, hold on, you have one item record that is depending on this. If I had a related list of 5, it would say you have 5 item records. Kind of get the idea. If you delete that, you will, in fact, delete some of the children. If I had cascade rules on B and C, and I delete a record on A, so if I delete Chuck and there's an item and an item task, let's say, and these two have cascade delete rules, you are also going to get just one message. It will say you have an item. It doesn't know and it doesn't report on anything further down the chain. So be cautious of that. You may not know exactly when these delete rules will kick in and when they don't. In this case, I want to say yes. I also want to delete that item, and you'll see item 1 is now gone, as is the record. So I find this handy. I think I first learned about this when I was doing my exam manager application back in 2014. And I had exams, I had questions for the exams, I had many-to-many tables, I had answers for the questions, I had scores, and I said, you know, I'm done with this user test, or I'm done with this score, and I want to clean up whatever's below. It was kind of a pain to write myself a little fix script, if you will, or something I could run in scripts background that would reset this all. I also had a number of cases where I was generating records and child records and many child records. It was just, every time I had to stop and start over, I had this little 3-line script that 6-line script said, here's a glide record, now go delete multiple. Here's a glide record, go delete multiple. Here's a glide record, go delete multiple. So why am I running this script over and over again when all I want to do is delete a record and have it clean up? And I discovered Cascade Delete rules. Wonderful, wonderful feature. But use it with caution, as the documentation says. That is the end of today's show. I appreciate you joining me. Remember, if you find something helpful, friendly, likable, and maybe mildly amusing, click that like button on the screen below in YouTube, or click the helpful link on the community. And if I don't talk to you anymore on this video this week, before May 5th, 2019, I look forward to seeing you at Knowledge. If you're not at Knowledge, I will be back end of May. It's going to be almost another month before I can get back on this video because of Knowledge and PTO. I'm going to take a little well-deserved vacation after Knowledge. I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Keep in touch. Let's get a selfie at Knowledge, and have a wonderful day. Learn something, share it, be helpful. Take care. Until next time. Bye.